Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho back again, and today we are going to be looking at when Uriel Ventris, famed captain of the Ultramarines' 4th Company, met returned Primarch Roboute Guilliman. Now, I was a big fan of Uriel Ventris, and it was those novels that first got me into the extended lore of the 40k universe and the Black Library in general. It's been a long time since I read them, but when I saw his name come up, it was a really great reveal to me, and I just wanted to share it with everyone and get your opinions on it too. So, usual spoiler warning for anyone who is not up to date with the current lore, and in particular has not read the novel Dark Imperium. With that said, let's jump straight in. An Ultramarine of the old type stood waiting for him, his crested helm held under one arm. His armour had already acquired a layer of dust, but the green trim of the 4th Company shone beneath, and his honours were so numerous that his rank was without doubt. "Captain Ventris," said Guilliman, walking to stand beside him. "My apologies for keeping you waiting. You have come a long way to see me." Ventris turned and dropped to his knee. "My Lord Primarch," he bowed his head and kept his eyes on the floor. "Please, my son," said Guilliman, "you need not bow before me." Ventris remained kneeling. "My lord, forgive me. I have not had the honour of meeting you. My company tried to return when you were reawoken, but by the time I reached Macragge, you had left. Performing your duty is not an error, Captain. I do not accept your apology, for there is no need for one. It somehow feels important that I should have been there." "You are here now," said Guilliman. He took a step towards Ventris, his hand out. "Please." The captain did not rise. "I have spoken with my brothers about you, listened to everything they had to report. Not a word of it does justice to actually being here. I have wished with all being to stand in your presence, but I did not expect this. I expected to feel something. To see a Primarch is something from a tale. I thought, but this is no fiction, and I am confounded. You may stand. But my lord, I cannot stand." Ventris looked up at Guilliman, his battle-worn face made young by wonder. "Then I command you to stand," said Guilliman. Ventris's reaction touched and irritated him equally. "Look upon me as a father, not as a lord. You are of my line and a son to me. As you command." Uriel Ventris stood slowly, his armour's motive systems growling loudly, as if they too were awestruck. The captain searched the face of his gene-father. Guilliman looked down on him. Ventris wore long service bars in his forehead. His skin was coarsened with age, and with all his meek reaction, the Primarch could sense the defiance in him, the rage, the desire to serve. The spell broke. Ventris smiled a little sheepishly. "Severus warned me about this," he said, shaking his head. "He warned me, and I did not believe him." "I will not lose my head," I told him. "I can see his face now when I tell him that I did." Ventris stood tall and saluted. "My apologies. Captain Agamemnon was right." So a surprisingly emotional reaction from Ventris, or is it? When I first read the passage, I was a little surprised at Ventris's reaction, but after a little mulling it over, it does make sense. This isn't a 30k Marine meeting the Primarch, when Primarchs were abroad in the Imperium and expected. This is 10,000 years later when a myth of legend has returned. Ventris has stood before the shrine of the Primarch and gazed at him in stasis many a time. It would be an overwhelming moment. He wasn't on Macragge when Guilliman was returned, so again he's just had more stories fed to him. This legend has returned and he's taken over the Imperium. It must be very overwhelming for Ventris to hear all that and then finally get to meet him. "It is nothing," said Guilliman. He held out his hand. Ventris reached out and grasped it firmly, unhesitant now. "I am pleased to make your acquaintance finally. Your reputation precedes you." "Not all of it is good, my lord," said Ventris. "If rules and customs remain unbroken, Uriel, they become meaningless. Either brittle from misuse, or so strong and overwhelming that they become walls to the mind, blocking out the truth of what it is they were intended to do: protect. I assume you have been sent to represent Lord Calgar at the Triumph. You must also have a message for me if you interrupt my important work. A little reference to the time Uriel went against the Codex Astartes there. If you've read his novels, Uriel is not the most adherent, shall we say, Ultramarine. He kind of used the Codex as guidelines more than most Ultramarines who use it as a Bible. But interestingly, it's a kind of approval from Guilliman, no less. Ventris dipped his head in a bow. I have. The war in Ultramar has entered a new phase. 3 large forces have issued forth from the Scourge Stars. The Endurance, the ship of Mortarion, Lord of the Death Guard, leads a fleet towards Ultramar. Guilliman was not surprised. It was only a matter of time. With Magnus abroad in the Imperium again, I expected more of my brothers to leave their fortress behind and venture out once more. Guilliman looked away, thinking. Has Mortarion actually been seen? Deception was not favoured by him when last we met, but he has had long years to learn new tricks. He has been seen, my lord. He appeared in person at the sacking of Daedalus. An astropathic message of him was sent with Picten coding. Once the metaphors were processed, we had a good image of him. And there we have Ventris bringing the bad tidings of Mortarion emerged himself. Their conversation, continues about the war. Guilliman actually lamenting the fact that he ever relinquished control of the 500 worlds when he split the Ultramarines Legion. He now believes it would have been better had they stayed within his control. Guilliman fell silent, then smiled sadly. Does it shock you, my son, to learn a Primarch can err? Ventris looked uncomfortable. My heart says yes, but that Primarch can be mistaken is an obvious conclusion when the argument is reasoned enough, my lord, said Ventris. Your admission does nothing to lessen my respect for you. We of the Ultramarines remain human despite our transformation. We make mistakes. As a son grows, he learns that his father is not infallible, whether he is glorious or humble. Sometimes I wonder if I am human at all, said Guilliman thoughtfully, in any meaningful sense. If you were not, you would not care for the fate of other men. Many of my brothers did not. Maybe it is an affection. Humanity is not measured on form alone, but by deeds, my lord, said Ventris. A mortal man may be inhuman towards other men, yet I have seen Xenos behave with honour and fairness. We offer them nothing but hate. Guilliman appraised the fourth captain carefully. You impress me, Captain Ventris. I have heard much about your deeds. I did not expect you to be so thoughtful. Your teachings persist, my lord, said Ventris modestly. We strive to be more than warriors, but wise men who also rule fairly, for the good of the greatest number. Yet the day when my sons shall set aside their weapons seems impossible now, the Primarch said. Guilliman then asked Ventris' opinion on the Primari Marines. They are a wonder, my lord, and Lord Calgar sends his personal thanks that you have provided them to us so quickly. Ultramar is stronger for their presence, in battle and in other ways. Wherever they go, they bring great heart to our warriors, whether they are Ultramarines, reinforcements for other chapters, or new Primari foundings. They are your sons at heart. Some of them remember the days when you walked among us. To hear some of their stories is remarkable. Additionally, their presence was helped with several cases of dissension from the planetary commanders of Greater Ultramar. They speak so eloquently of the ancient days and of the unity of old Ultramar that several governments saw that their opposition to reunification was not to the taste of their peoples. Peaceful means do not elude us in all cases. And with that, their conversation finishes. But it's very interesting, a little snippet there to see that, the Primari Marines are talking of the days of the Great Crusade. It must be quite interesting for all these 40k Marines to hear these tales of so long ago from first-hand accounts. Obviously, there's very, very few voices who have been able to relay those. You got Bjorn the Fell-Handed from the Space Wolves, but other than him, I mean, I can't really think of many people that have been around that long, at least on the Imperium side of things. So yeah, these Primari, we think of the Primaris as brand new to the lore and to the Marines in the 40k universe, but they've got their stories from long ago, so that could lead to some really great storytelling too, some really great new avenues that are opening up for us. But with that, like I said, the conversation is over. Roboute Guilliman heads to his personal shuttle and leaving Ventris to look over the transforming battleground as Guilliman's changing it into a parade ground to finish off the Indomitus Crusade with a big bang. But it would be nice to know the thoughts that are running through Ventris's mind as he stands there with the Primarch leaving him. How would he be internalising this meeting? It was a really good meeting from my read. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to know what you guys thought about it. Are you fans of Ventris? Have you read his novels before? Was this a nice little throwback for you, meeting in the Primarch? Was you a little surprised at it at first, like myself, or having a little thought about it? Have you really enjoyed it? Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, if you do enjoy my content, please leave a like, please leave a subscribe. It really helps me to grow the channel. I'm loving bringing the lore to you guys very, very often as I can. I think I'll stick with guaranteed uploads on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So there'll be the definite guaranteed upload days, and I'll try and keep trying to add in extra content as often as I can in between those days. But there'll be the definite days that I guarantee an upload for you all. So with that, I'll see you guys again very, very soon.